Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I know I haven't uploaded a video in a little bit. Things have been a little bit hectic and crazy in my life with school and other things going on, so that is on me, but I'm here today with another video. Today I want to talk about the 2020 Overwatch League Roll Stars because we finally have our announcement of the 2020 Roll Stars, so I want to talk about them. Do a bit of a reaction to them, I guess, give you my thoughts on what happened with these Roll Stars and how I feel about them. I want to start with the tanks, then move to the supports, and end with the damage dealers, because the damage dealers are the ones that right now I'm the most interested in talking about. So, I'm going to kind of compare my 4 roll stars that I had in my awards video. If you want to check that out, I will link it in the cards as well as in the description down below. You can check it out there. But I am going to be talking about my own and comparing the two based on what I picked versus what was picked by the league itself. So, starting with the tanks, 3 of the tank players that I picked for roll stars were given roll stars. 1 was not. So there was Fearless, Void, Krong, all 3 of whom I picked on my own, as well as Choi Hyobin, who I did not pick, but I don't think that Choi Hyobin is necessarily a bad pick. Fun fact about Choi Hyobin, he is the only player in the 2 seasons that the roll star has been awarded to get it both years. He was a roll star back in 2019 alongside Mono, Gushui, and Super. And now, of course, he is a roll star again in 2020 with Fearless, Void, and Krong. I'm a little surprised that Krong got it, though I 100% think Krong deserves it. I thought that Hanbin would be more likely to get it than Krong, but I think Krong had a great year, and I think he was incredibly successful for his team. I have no complaints about Fearless or Void getting it. They were the best tank duo in the league this season by far. There's not much more you can say about what Fearless did this season. Fearless's comeback this season is incredible and insane, and I think it's just so great to see a player who was out of the Overwatch League for a year come back and be just incredible this season. So I think the tank ones are good. I think Hanbin personally was more deserving than Choi Hyobin. I liked Hanbin better this season. I thought he was a better player as a whole. When you look at a lot of the tank player stats, this season he averaged better than most of the other tank players. But Choi Hyobin, I think, was super central to the success of the Shock, the best team in North America. And I think that Hanbin didn't have the same kind of leadership, kind of consistent style that I think you had at Choi Hyobin. And Choi Hyobin, at the end of the day, is just kind of the better name. He's a name you know. Everybody knows Choi Hyobin at this point in time because he is so well known for his success last season and in 2018. He was such a good player both of those seasons. Stats wise, which is obviously you can't look at just stats. Stats don't tell you everything. There's a lot that you miss out from just looking at stats. But when you look at, say, eliminations per 10, Hanbin outperformed both Void and Choi Hyobin and Krong. You look at final blows per 10 minutes, I believe that Hanbin had the most of any of the flex tanks. Then you look at hero damage, I believe he had the most of the ones that were there, though Gargoyle had insanely high hero damage. His deaths were a little bit bad. That is where Choi was better. The Void was far and away the most absurd with his death rate. His death rate was better than anybody else's in the league. But Choi's was certainly better than Hanbin's there. So there's a lot of interesting stats there to consider. I liked Hanbin better. I thought Hanbin had a better season than Choi, but Choi was definitely the more important leadership figure for his team than Hanbin was. So I think that it's not that absurd to say that the award goes to Choi Hyobin. I think that it's a fine pick there. Moving on to the supports. 3 of the 4 supports that I gave the Roll Stars to for myself were given the award. For the Overwatch League, they gave it to Alarm, Lee Gon, FD God, and Violet. I gave it to Funny Astro instead of Violet. A lot of that for me is just a personal thing. I'm not the biggest fan of Violet, just in general, and I thought that Funny Astro had a really good season and a really good comeback season. So I think that you have to look at what Funny Astro did, and I think that the main supports this season were a lot more impactful than the flex supports, and some people may disagree with me on that, but that for me was the bigger thing. So I gave it to Funny Astro, but Violet's not a bad pick. Violet was incredible for the Shock this year. I mean, he carried the May Melee. He was so dominant in the May Melee finals in a way that we didn't see really with other support players. The Baptiste difference between Violet and Gangnam Jin and Chris was just so massive that even when you had moments where the Mayhem were performing well, they could just never match up with the BAP play of Violet. And it was super prevalent and noticeable. So Violet's not a bad choice at all. I'm really glad that FD God got it. I didn't think that he would get it over Funny Astro, though I think FD God deserves it a little bit more than Funny Astro does. I thought FD God was, one, incredibly good at making plays. He was a huge playmaker, and I think that you have to give him a lot of credit for what he was able to do for his team, which I think a lot of other teams struggle to do. So shout out to him. I mean, Alarm, if you look at Alarm, they have like the list of stats on the page for the Roll Stars of things that the player did. I mean, it's absurd, the amount of things that he has. There, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 different bullet points under Alarm. To give you an idea, Lee Gon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Violet has about probably 12 or 13. FD God has 7. Like, Alarm has 21 things of note, which is just absurd. And it was a really great season for Alarm. He was by far the best flex support, and he's probably going to be a Rookie of the Year front runner, and he probably will win Rookie of the Year. We'll find that out here this weekend during the NA All-Stars, but I mean, Alarm, I think, will probably win the award. It seems very likely to me that he will win that one. So the supports, once again, don't really have any issues with them. Where my problem comes in primarily is with the damage roll. So let's talk about the damage roll. Interesting that the damage roll had 5 people win the Roll Star Award. 5 Roll Stars because of a tie at the bottom, so they gave the 2 or 5 people instead of 4. So 3 of my Roll Stars were given this award. Fleta, Sparkle, and Carpe. I gave the award to all 3 of them. I think of those 3, Sparkle is obviously the most controversial because he only played for half of the season. To me, the fact that Sparkle played half the season is the reason why he is such a strong candidate for Roll Star, but not a strong candidate for, say, Rookie of the Year or MVP. Because on the DPS roll, Sparkle was far and away, when it comes to just averaging, damage dealt, Sparkle was dominant. 9.5 final blows per 10 minutes was the top in the league. 21.6 eliminations per 10 minutes, top in the league. He had incredible damage output. He was super instrumental to his team's success. Him as a Roll Star for me makes perfect sense, and I'm really glad he won it. Fleta and Carpe, there's really a lot of discussion there. Fleta is the MVP. Obviously, he's going to get something for his performance on the DPS roll this season, so like to see him there as a Roll Star for the damage dealers. And Carpe had a great season as well, though I think you could argue that Carpe wasn't as deserving as some other people, but I think his early season performances, his performance against the Shock at the end of the season, I think just his consistent play throughout the season, he was very good. So it makes sense that he got it. The final two players that got it were Ants and Lip. And nothing against Ants or Lip. I personally think that KSP was incredibly deserving of a Damage Roll Star award. When you look at the season stats, KSP led the league in final blows, in in hero damage, and in solo kills. He had the lead over Birdring for final blows by 1, which is pretty funny. He had approximately 10,000 more hero damage than BQB, who was second, and he averaged, what is that, like 12 more solo kills just solo kills on the season than Birdring did. So season-wide, KSP was the best damage dealer in those categories. KSP was incredible all season. I think you could even argue that Birdring should have been one of the Damage Roll Stars. I think that you could argue that KSP deserves it more than Carpe, more than Sparkle, more than Ants, more than Lip. I honestly think Fleta is the only player on here who I think there is no argument that KSP is more deserving of the award. Fleta was the best damage dealer this season, I think, when you just kind of consider his hero pool and the way that he played all season. I think that there's really no argument about taking Fleta off of this list. But in terms of DPS play on the season, I think that KSP is far and away a top 5 DPS player on the season, and I think the fact that he didn't get a Roll Star is completely absurd and actually just ridiculous to see. He was such an instrumental player to his team's success this season, and I think that the fact that they didn't give it to him is stupid. So that is my main kind of takeaway, my main complaint with this year's Roll Stars. I think that there was an obvious candidate who deserved it and should have won it and didn't get it. I'm disappointed in that, because I think that he's a player who really showed up this season, and seeing a player deserving not get the recognition he deserves is upsetting to me. So just wanted to drop that little piece of information and give you all my thoughts there. I'd love to hear your own thoughts on the 2020 Roll Stars in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about it. But that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing for more content like this in the future. Hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And until next time, bye-bye.